Alright, let's see what we got. Well, first thing you should do is check everything against the registration sheet. You don't want to get any errors. Even if it's pre-reg by the judges, they can make errors too. So we're just checking through here right now if anything exciting comes up. Ooh, an angelic skirmisher. That's a pretty exciting one. So right now our white's looking pretty sweet. We have Guardian of the Gateless, Angelic Skirmisher, Knight of Obligation, some pretty sweet stuff here. Blue is not so exciting. Ooh, a Simic Manipulator is kind of sweet. The deck I'm actually looking to play is Orzhov, and I see a Basilisk creature and 2 Grizzly Spectacles to go with my sweet white cards, so I'm pretty happy with the direction it might be able to go so far. Nothing super exciting yet, though. Still just checking everything against the list. Ooh, an Aurelius Fury. That's a sweet one. All right. Well, maybe we're looking at Boros or 3-color with splashing that. Ground Assault, Rule Charm. Ooh, a Mind Grind. That can be pretty sweet in a defensive sealed deck. We did have a Prophetic Prism and a couple of Guild Gates, so we might be able to make this happen. Source Strike. Shamble Shark, Signal of Clans. Not so exciting stuff. Oh, White-Black Guild Mage. Not the best, but not bad. And then, ooh, a Gift of Orzhov. So my inclination going through that is that we're almost certainly going to be Orzhov, probably Orzhov splashing the Aurelius Fury. So let's sort things into colors. So our green is okay, but not awesome. Our red is pretty poor. Our black and white were the colors that stood out to me. So that's what I'm sort of leaning toward wanting to play coming in anyway, which just have more white cards than anything else too, which is frequently a sign of the directions you're going to go in sealed deck. And 2 Orzhov Guild Gates certainly doesn't hurt. So, all right. So our red is really only a few cards that would go into like a Boros deck. So I'm gonna set our red to the side for now. Green we have, we'll just take out the playable cards, or at least the good playable cards. Not super exciting over here. We'll set that aside as well for the moment. Black. Our actual black cards aren't great. We have Basilisk Creature and 2 Spectacles that are pretty awesome. Then we have a lot of sort of mediocre cards. Smog Elemental is better in sealed than it is in draft just because of the speed of the format. But I'm guessing we're probably going to end up white-black anyway. So gold cards, some good red-green gold cards, some good blue-green gold cards, but not the greatest in those colors. So let's look at what our Orzhov deck would look like. So pretty good curve even, and a decent amount of removal. And that's just with the white cards and the gold cards so far. We're a little empty at the 3 slot here. May end up playing something like this, which I normally wouldn't want to play. Stellate Suit Ruffian's pretty mediocre. Oh, we have a Gift of Orzhov. Don't want to forget that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 cards there so far. We almost certainly want to play Prophetic Prism. We're going to want to play this Aurelius Fury, and Prophetic Prism is particularly good in Orzhov with Extort, because it's basically a spell that isn't costing you a spell that you're able to drain them with. So Aurelius Fury is a splash here. And then having 2 on-color Guild Gates for Orzhov is particularly good because we want to splash. It lets us play extra sources of our splash color without really damaging our ability to play our primary color spells. So Right now, my biggest concern is my curve here, not really having much at 3. I'd like to have another card at 3 mana. I'm a little heavy with 2 6s, 2 5s. I do have some very good 2-drops, but not too much right here in the curve. So maybe end up playing this guy. Pretty weak, but sometimes you just want a body. What other colors do we have that might be any good? I'm going to take a look down here at what, say, a Simic deck might look like. So we can make a decent Simic deck. We have very good creatures for a Simic deck, but we don't really have much in the way of particularly good spells. The removal here is just so good that I think it's worth playing a little bit suboptimal creatures like the Ruffian in order to make it happen. I think we want to try to splash anything like this. Mind Grind is kind of sweet and sealed, but I'd rather have something like an Aurelius Fury. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, this is just not going to cut it in terms of a full deck anyway. So, pretty sure the Orzhov Splash Fury is the direction I'm going. We could make, we have a decent number of cards in Gruul as well, but nothing super exciting. We end up playing stuff like Bomber Core, which I don't even particularly like playing in Draft, and gets even worse in Sealed deck. Usually I like to identify what the best cards in my pool and try and figure out where that's going to go, but then take a look at possible alternate builds. Because it's easy to sort of tunnel vision on a particular build of a deck and miss something else that might be better. But this is not going to be better. We just don't have nearly as powerful cards here. This just has so much removal. So let's get these out of here. Alright, so let's just focus back on this. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 creatures, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. This could actually just be 23 cards right here, which wouldn't be a bad deck. I mean, we have, a solid amount of Extort, which gives us, like a decent mid and late game, as well as, some pretty powerful bombs. We have Aurelius Fury, Angelic Skirmisher. Guardian of the Gateless is pretty sweet. We can play defense pretty well. Again, I would like to have another 3-drop or 2. Possibly trade, if I could have another reasonable 3, I would want to get rid of this and play another 3-drop. Seeing as we don't have that option, we're going to have to deal with this. So we still are a little bit high in our curve. I'd like to see if we can bring it down in some way. If we actually just lay everything out by casting cost across everything, we end up with something looking like this. This is obviously an X spell, going to be high up there. So is there any way we can figure out? So there's no 3 casting cost artifact creatures or anything. So then I can play this. Midnight Recovery might not be bad in our deck. I don't think it's better than any of our removal spells. We have so much removal that I think we'd rather just play, just try and overload all their creatures, just trade a bunch. But Midnight Recovery is particularly good if you are trading, so I don't think it's better than anything that's actually in the deck. I mean, we could not splash Aurelius Fury, but that doesn't seem correct to me. Aurelius Fury is just so powerful. None of the other white cards we have are really particularly exciting, or the artifacts. We have a Millennial Gargoyle who's okay, but doesn't fit our curve well. We'd rather have a 3 than another 4. We have a bunch of stuff at 4, and isn't as powerful as our 5s or 6s. So, Beckon Apparition is a card I can see trying to fit in here. It can be pretty good with both Extort as a cheap spell, as well as with Court Street Denizen, in terms of giving you an instant speed way to tap a guy. Just a surprise creature can be pretty good too. Again, I don't really see where I can cut from here. The only thing I can imagine cutting is maybe like Smog Elemental, maybe for a Beck and Apparition, which is not unreasonable. I do have a bunch of expensive stuff, so I could see possibly making that cut. And maybe boarding in Smog Elemental against an opponent who has a bunch of Drakewing Crosses or something like that. That may be better, just given how expensive a lot of my stuff is. I have a bunch of 4s and 5s here, and need a little bit more to do on low mana. It's also possible that I just want 18 land with my deck, given how many good expensive spells I have. So maybe we take this out. We do have 17 land and a Prism, which is it's like 17 0.2 land, 0.3 land or whatever. So maybe I actually want to do it like this. This gives us, reasonable dudes to defend ourselves with. A lot of removal. Smog Elemental is, okay, but not amazing, and we already have a lot of expensive stuff, so the Beck may be better. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23. So this looks like a good deck. Coming in, I wanted to play Orzhov, so certainly not something I'm upset with. Angelic Skirmisher is an absolute bomb. One of the few actual 6-cost spells I think is actually worth 6 mana in this format. There's a lot that aren't. And then a good way of dealing with opposing bombs, along with Gift of Orzhov, which is a great way to race anyone who's trying to be aggressive. So I think this is probably the build that I'm going to end up with. So.
Hello everyone, welcome to Grand Prix Charlotte. I'm Glenn Jones here with Brian Kibler.
Hello.
Brian, you had 3 buys, but you came in a little early to help us out. Let us deck tech your sealed process at the cost of your Gold Rush envelope, which I will now return to you. You may open it.
Come on. Well, now I need a Black Lotus for all I've done. Okay. I feel like I deserve it, really.
You feel like you deserve it? All right.
Come on. Come on.
Good afternoon, everybody.
A Gristleback.
Gristleback, all right. Gristle got back.
It'll go right in my deck. Doesn't fit. All right.
Well, we
No Black
missed
Lotus.
yet again on camera. It's a bummer.
So I'm just going to have to win the Grand Prix instead. So.
Well, you've got a deck that might just be able to
Yeah,
do it here.
absolutely.
Looking at your sealed deck, you wound up Orzhov, pretty common sealed combination from what we're seeing. Let's just talk about the path that led you there, because it seemed pretty straightforward on the build.
When people were asking me, well, what are you hoping to play tomorrow? I was hoping to open an Orzhov deck. I think Orzhov is one of the best guilds for draft to begin with,
Sure.
and I think that the mechanic for Orzhov lends itself very well to sealed deck. Sealed deck tends to be a bit slower than draft, a bit more focused on bombs and removal. Orzhov has lots of removal, as well as the extort mechanic being something that's very good at any sort of game that goes long.
Yeah.
So my deck ended up pretty much just falling perfectly into what I was looking for. Ended up with a good selection of removal in both colors, and I played almost every white card I have. So
Yeah.
it came up pretty
guild
good.
score award.
Right, exactly. So the big cards that drew me to Orzhov here, Angelic Skirmisher is pretty much the best card in my pool. Well, the best Orzhov card in my pool, and it's just a super powerful card. Can win games from pretty much any position, and. I had a good curve of creatures going up to that, as well as decent selection of removal. I have a pair of Grizzly Spectacles here, 2 Angelic Edicts, as well as a bunch of other stuff going further down the curve here. So.
Yeah, a lot of the bombs in the format seem to be relatively similar to Angelic Skirmisher in that there's something big and swingy, but they're also highly vulnerable to these normally overcosted removals.
One of the really powerful things about Skirmisher is that you can use its power right when you play it. So if your opponent doesn't have an instant speed way to kill Skirmisher, you end up getting an attack phase with lifelink or an attack phase with vigilance or some powerful ability that you can use before your opponent even has a chance to kill it.
You get a little bit of value from your 6-drop, which is actually kind of difficult to find. Like something like Treasury Throw, where you're actually really vulnerable to just getting killed on the spot.
Exactly.
Okay, so the deck obviously pretty white heavy. You played all the white cards. You're really moving into the late game, which, as we talked about with Extorting, it's a great mechanic going late. It really helps you dodge flooding, is what I feel like. That's a major thing.
Absolutely. I actually was debating whether I wanted to play 18 land in this deck. In a lot of Orzhov decks, you want to play a little bit more land so you can, especially in sealed deck, because you want to be able to actually use your Extort as the game progresses. I have a Prophetic Prism for my splash card, which is a great card going late. Aurelia's Fury. I don't really like splashing that much in this format. In particular in Sealed, I find that the format is so fast that splashing can frequently lead you to just being in situations where you just get too far behind because you can't play your spells on time. In Sealed deck, it's a bit different because the format's a little bit slower. People are playing almost all the removal normally, so you don't have quite the same sort of hyper blitz decks that you end up running
Sure.
into. And thankfully, I actually had 2 Orzhov Guild Gates, which makes it a lot easier to splash. They're not Boros Guild Gates, but it lets me actually play 2 mountains
Right.
while still having effectively 9 sources and 8 sources of my 2 colors.
Yeah, you're basically free rolling the 2 extra lands
exactly
because you're doubled
so,
up.
Exactly.
Okay, makes perfect sense. So let's move to the cards that did make the cut, since Aurelius Fury and Angelic Skirmisher were pretty easy ads.
Yep.
You've got Millennial Gargoyle, or Assault Griffin Jr., as I like to call him. Everyone bags him whenever. And Smog Elemental. It feels like these were among the 2 that felt kind of close, but why did you decide not to go with them in the end?
Mostly because I wanted to keep my curve a bit lower. I already have a lot of powerful stuff at the high end.
Okay.
Smog Elemental was actually one of the cards that I cut late in the process for back in
We're entering your
the
measures. If you completed your match, please turn your results slip.
Running so good.
Once again, there are 2 baskets, 1 for the green slips, 1 for the white. Make sure you get it in the right
There's
spot.
3 minutes left in the round.
Also, when you pick up and you leave the area,
Probably
please give it
very
a
loud.
try.
Very
Once
sure.
again,
It's probably
if
good.
you
I
have
didn't even get
your
it.
Yeah,
match,
good finish.
make sure your slip is in. Make sure it is in the appropriate spot.
Just dive into that back in operations.
So basically,
You signed up for booster run number 10. Standard one box number 4. For grand one number 1, your Vinsto ready to fire. You signed up for
Your deck building stuff.
damn it, out of time.
Alright.
So, Smog Elemental was one of the last cuts in the deck for the Beckon Apparition. I really felt like I had enough power at the high end. You know, I have a lot of 4, 5, and 6 cost spells that can have a really big impact in the game. And I felt like I just wanted to have more early game. Beckon Apparition is a good cheap spell with Extort. I've used them to extort creatures. It's also good with Court Street Denizen if your opponent has some sort of aggressive creature that you want to start. Exactly. It comes up a non-trivial amount. Being able to trade with a Drakewing Crassus early, things like that. Smog Elemental is clearly a more powerful card, but I felt like I just wanted another cheap card. Similarly, I played Slate Street Ruffian, who's not a very good card, over the Millennial Gargoyle, just because I wanted another creature lower in the curve. I wanted to have more to do on the early turns because I felt like I had enough powerful stuff to do in the later turns.
Yeah, if you can just make the game go late, you really like this deck. It's got a bunch
Right.
of removal. The Extort will keep you alive going long, so
Yeah, I mean,
makes sense.
I really wish the Ruffian were something like a Basilica Guard, but you got to take what you get. It is still deck.
The other 3 cards that looked like worthy of consideration perhaps, but didn't make the cut, a little weaker. We've got Midnight Recovery, Riot Gear, and Shadow Alley Denizen. Obviously, the Denizen, probably in a more aggressively
have
minded deck, not going to make it here. Yeah, you have very few black
3
guys.
black creatures.
So
So.
we'll just get him right out of there. Then we have Riot Gear, which I think is, again, probably better in the more aggressive decks.
Right,
but
Riot Gear's okay if your deck is looking for a way to break through in situations where your opponent might play a bigger creature, and you're like, okay, I need something that can actually let my guys attack. The thing that does that in my deck is a bunch of removal spells. So Riot Gear isn't really the sort of card I'm looking for in this deck. Midnight Recovery is a card that I did consider because I do have a good amount of powerful creatures I might be able to bring back, and I definitely am going to be looking to trade early. I have a lot of stuff that I want to trade early with, and some powerful creatures to bring back. But I figured that for a 4 or 5 cost spell, I have a lot of things going on here that are just better than Midnight Recovery. So I just wanted to have something that would impact the board immediately. And then I can build to these anyway.
Right, like when you play the Skirmisher, you kind of just expect it to win, not to Midnight
Right,
Recovery
exactly,
Skirmisher back
yeah.
and then win with that. That makes total sense. All right, Brian, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Good luck
Thank
in
you.
the Grand Prix. It looks like you got a deck that might just get you there.
Yeah, gonna do what I can.